Welcome one and all back to another edition of The Future is Female. Joined as always by my legendary co-host Nicole Pinter. I'm Gabby Ducharme. Nicole, good to be back. It's been a few weeks now. We're both settling into major changes in our lives. You went to the big house this past weekend. Nicole, how are you doing coming off the Michigan dub?
Oh, it was hot. I'm tired, but it's never not worth it to be there for a Michigan victory. It was packed. It was electric. It's home. It's really home, and I love it. And I loved being there.
I look forward to the day when you get your full-time gig at Michigan Athletics, because I think it's going to happen one day. Yeah. Speaking of full-time jobs, I have been all over the place. I accepted a full-time job at San Jose State Athletics as a multimedia coordinator. We will get into the Michigan game as well a little bit later on down the line. Today, we're going to be focusing on WNBA, NFL. We are officially in game week. Pretty exciting. Nicole is going to work her first regular season NFL game on Sunday. Is that correct?
Yep.
That's pretty darn exciting. All right. And then we're going to finish up with Serena Williams and some college football. So starting off, Nicole, WNBA, we're in the playoffs right now. I haven't been following as much as I should have been, but I did catch the games yesterday.
You caught the best games of the entire playoff then.
Literally, Chicago, Connecticut. And then, of course, the second one, Las Vegas and why am I blanking?
Seattle.
Seattle, Las Vegas and Seattle. Did you watch the games yesterday?
Yeah. Honestly, let's start with the primer because it was a primer in Chicago and Connecticut. When Chicago lost game one, I was like, okay, and we talked about this when we were still on Blaze Radio. Oh, that was sad to say. But when we were on Blaze Radio, I was like, Connecticut, Las Vegas, those are my favorites. Repeating's really hard. I think Chicago's got what it needs. I just think other teams have it too. And Connecticut should have won last year. But and they're still pretty much the same team and they just got better. When they lost game one, I was like, it's okay. I didn't entirely expect them to win the series. It's fine. It was a close loss. They've pulled off two straight close wins where Kalea Copper was clutch. Allie Quigley was super clutch in game two, but kind of had an off day game three. But Candace Parker, the GOAT, as always, tied Tamika Catchings for the most double-doubles in the playoffs with 27. She is the GOAT. We'll talk about the other GOAT in a little bit. But yeah, and they were able to finish down the stretch, which is what they've done the past two games and what they were not able to do in game one. This series could arguably be over if Chicago could have finished in game one, because it wasn't like Connecticut ran away with it or anything. It was close and Chicago just couldn't close. And now it goes home to Chicago. I think we're going back.
If they win, they're in. They're one win away from the finals.
Yeah.
One win. And just, to think about Candace Parker going from where she was in LA, you could tell she needed a reset. I don't believe in 2021, I'm sorry, when she signed with her hometown team, I don't believe she would have believed or she would have seen herself going for a back-to-back championship at 35. I also saw her daughter start 8th grade the other day.
That's weird.
That made me feel old. Oh my Lord. I remember being in elementary school and going to Sparks games and seeing her 3-year-old Layla running around with her jersey looking like a dress on, just that made me feel old. But yeah, Chicago they've been the best team in the WNBA for 2 straight years. Candace, of course, is the main reason because of that. Kalea Copper is because of that. The Vandersloots, Courtney Vandersloot is also a huge part of that. Vandersloot has been off the charts with her shooting this entire series. Kalea Copper, I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Carly, who is the PR coordinator for the Chicago Sky. So she knows this team better than anybody in the league. She went viral the other night with Kalia Copper when Kalia was featured on GQ Sports. Carly was literally standing on the side, I think, telling Kalia about Lord knows what media thing. But yeah, I love that I can root for one of my friends at the same time. Someone who I remember seeing from a distance when we were in middle school basketball, like at trainings. We would go to trainings on Sunday nights, and like I'd just see her from a distance. I didn't know her much until the last year, which is really weird, but we're from the same hometown. So she's like Irvine, California repping, Orange County, Oregon graduate as well. So another West Coast baby, killing it in the WNBA. I to be honest with you, I love rooting for Chicago because I love rooting for Carly. She's so easy to root for, and I want her to get a ring. I want her to get a ring so badly. I spoke to her in 2021 when she was still in college, and she was getting ready to come out of school. She had just become an SJI fellow, and she had covered women's basketball. She had covered Sabrina Ionescu all throughout college, and I remember at the time how scared she was. She was nervous to graduate, and you know, she didn't know what the next chapter was going to bring. And her next chapter has brought working at the LA Lakers, working for the LA Chargers, and now her team about to go to the WNBA finals. So I'm Carly Ebasuya's #1 fan right now, along with Candace Parker. But I think I just want them to win because I want my buddy to get a ring.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, I want my buddy to get the bling. Come on, Carly. Let's go. Speak it into existence. But yeah, the series is always so exciting. Of course, that was game 1. All right, game 2. Seattle, Las Vegas.
Oh my God. This game had everything. And honestly, it's kind of upsetting that overtime was a little bit dull. I'm not going to lie. That was my concern. I'll start right off the bat. We're going to talk about what in the world Seattle was doing on defense, just leaving right under the bucket wide open for Vegas to tie it and send it to overtime. I was like, if Vegas sends us into overtime somehow, like I just don't think Seattle's winning. I just don't think they have the endurance like Vegas does. No. And I do think Becky Hammon has already surpassed just about almost everyone in the league as head coach. I know she was an assistant in the NBA. Being a head coach, just making that transition is always huge. It's always different. It's never guaranteed, even though we were all right about Becky Hammon being really good. It's still never like for sure. Well, yeah, she's damn good. I think she's the best coach in the league. And so does everyone else too. She was coach of the year. But
the fact that I know her name and I don't even know who coaches Seattle. Like that's just the biggest difference right there in the series.
Exactly. Honestly, I don't either. That's why I wasn't saying it. But but yeah, that was just Sue Bird hitting that shot. You thought, okay, this is like we're in Seattle. This is like the fairy tale moment. Like Seattle's now 1 win away. Sue's gonna do it in her last year. And then they left the paint wide open for Vegas to hit a layup. I was like, okay, maybe not. But man, that game did not disappoint. The series hasn't disappointed. We truly, you could make the argument last year because Chicago beat Connecticut so early. We did not have the 4 best teams, despite Chicago winning it all. Yeah. We have the 4 best teams here in the semis. They were the 4 best teams all season long, and now we have them here. Like,
I think if Vegas gets knocked out again in the semis, I think they're going to be in trouble because I think they have way too much talent in the prime of their careers. And I do believe it's kind of now or never. Either you put all the pieces together, kind of like the Milwaukee Bucks in 2021. Either all the pieces come together and you make it happen, or it's going to start to disappear. Girls are going to start to take off. Women are going to start to take off from this team because I don't know what A'ja Wilson's contract looks like, but a lot of times the WNBA players won't sign more than about 2 or 3 year long deals. So it even if, say it doesn't happen this year and she comes back the year after that, if you guys don't start winning and you don't start producing finals appearances on a more consistent basis with MVP level talent like Chelsea Gray and A'ja Wilson and Dearica Hamby, good luck trying to keep them satisfied. Like, good luck. You know, it players get frustrated when they don't win. That's why there was so much talk of Giannis possibly leaving the Bucks. There was so much talk of, oh, Chris Middleton's going to take off. Like, similar conversations will start to happen with the Aces, that it's like, oh, Gray and Wilson aren't the best duo, you know. Hamby's going to cost them too much against, you know, the cap, like, got to get rid of her. Like, those conversations are going to start to happen if you're not producing titles. And it really does. I really feel like this team is like the Bucks of the last several years before they eventually got over the hump in 21. I think they will win the series. I think it's going to be close, but I think they will win the series. I think they're going to end Sue Bird's career pretty soon here. By the way, Nicole, the head coach of the Seattle Storm, I feel terrible for not knowing this name. It's Noelle Quinn.
Oh,
yeah. She's a UCLA grad. I should have known that.
And I know that name too. Like,
yeah, literally, she played.
We're both tired. We're both tired.
Literally, yeah. It's been.
We both had long weekends for very different reasons.
I know. I think yours is a little bit more fun than mine was, honestly. But yeah, I should have known that name. She played in the WNBA until 2018. She won a WNBA title in 2018 with the Storm. I feel terrible for not knowing that name. She played for the Sparks too.
And I want to bring it. Yeah, it's a not fellow Bruin, but a Bruin. But yeah. It's interesting because at first I was like, you know, I don't necessarily agree. You know, I see where you're coming from. The more you explain, the more I was like, okay. Here's the caveat though. Becky Hammon just started with the Aces. I think she is the key to starting and stopping some of these conversations. I totally agree with you. As far as I would say one more year. I would give it one more year, and then I think we're there. But I really do agree with you. But the Becky Hammon is the one thing that, like, you can feel my hesitation. She's the one thing that I'm like, I don't know. I think they want to play for Becky Hammon though. Who wouldn't?
I would argue because Hammon is there, there's even more of a clock ticking because she's making $1 million a season in the WNBA and you have to start recouping that money. And there's no better way to begin recouping all of that you're investing than winning. Like, she was brought in, I believe she was brought in to win now. Like,
yeah. I totally agree with that.
Her being brought in was the Aces saying, we are full board invested. We're giving you the best coach, the best salary, the newest facilities. So going back to Becky Hammon, I think the reason she was brought in is because the franchise was trying to say, we have a sense of urgency. We need to capitalize when all these girls are in their prime. And we're going to jump on it. And so, yeah, so I think that's part of the reason why, but yeah, so your predictions for the WNBA finals, Nicole, just to wrap up this segment, what are your predictions?
You know, I got to go Chicago. Like, I think we're getting Chicago and Las Vegas. I think they both end the series Wednesday. I believe it. Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah. I believe they both end these series. Oh, who wins it all? How can I not say Chicago? How can I not say the GOAT and Candace Parker? I think they go back to back.
I think they do too, because I want Carly to get her championship ring. I think it's time for her to get one. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chicago Sky as well. I want to see Candace Parker get one more as well. I don't know if she's retiring at the end of this year. I don't think she's said yet. I know she's hinted at it, but I want to see her get at least one more before she hangs it up.
If she wins this year, I think she goes out on top. I really do. If she doesn't, I think she plays one more year. But this is all my prediction. If she doesn't win it all, I think she plays one more year. If she does win it all, I think she's done.
All right. And then continuing on. So that's WNBA. We're in the thick of the playoffs right now. We're at the very, very tail end of things. Football, NFL, we're at the exact opposite end. We just finished up preseason. Nicole, you're about to work your first NFL regular season game. How does it feel?
Oh, I'm so blessed. I'm so lucky. I remember, shout out Mark Rita. He's the reason I have this job.
Yes, you are.
So much. Emailed about an opportunity to work a Christmas Day game. I said yes. And then I was like, I hope they bring me back. They did. And then I was like, okay, I hope they bring me back more. And they did. And now I'm sitting front row for the Cardinals season, which if you're listening, you'll be like, are you sure you want to do that? And I'll be like, it's football. It's football. I could be sitting front row for the New York Jets. I don't care. I am sitting front row for a football season.
To be clear, you're getting paid to sit front row for the football.
Yes. Also, yes, that.
To be clear, you're not paying to do it. You're getting paid to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about football this year because I'm gonna be living in I'm gonna be still in California, and of course, there's all that hype around the Cardinals. They just re-signed Kyler Murray to that massive deal after he pretty much demanded it 2 years early, and then I'm going to be up near the San Francisco 49ers, and one of my best friends is covering the Niners for a local radio station in the Bay Area. My friend Emil is covering them. So I've been following all of that coverage with Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. And then there's all the stuff. I'm now invested in the Chicago Bears. Thank you, Nicole. I want to see how your guys' QB works out, whose name I'm forgetting right now.
Justin Fields.
Thank you, Justin Fields. I want to see how that pans out. I'm really curious to see how Trevor Lawrence does in year 2 with the Jaguars. I don't know why I am so invested in what Trevor Lawrence does next. I want to know if the Rams can go back to back. I think I'm more invested this year than I ever have been. I don't think I'm going to play fantasy football. I don't like fantasy football very much.
Good for you. No, good for you. I'm in 4 fantasy football leagues, Gabby.
But I saw this tweet earlier. It was like, my boyfriend, oh, your boyfriend's a doctor? Cool. Mine's about to be the coach of 4 fantasy teams for the next 4 months.
Imaginary football teams. I retweeted that. Yeah. Well, no, I quote tweeted it and I was like, actually, both of us are GMs of imaginary football teams.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm in 4. Oh man. And I'm trying to pick Cardinals in each one of them, which is like, do you hate yourself? Why would you do that? And I'm like, yes, I do. I want to make work miserable. I want to make it interesting. I want to spice it up a little.
Aren't you going to a Patriot game soon?
Yes, in October. Patriots Bears.
Okay.
The Bears? There's a lot of football in my future here.
Love it. All right. So what's your prediction really quickly? What's your prediction for the football season?
Let me start with Bears and then I'll go full season prediction. I'll keep it short. I'll keep Bears corner short.
Yeah, we're making Bears corner. Let's lock in. What's your prediction for the Bears?
It's gonna be rough. I think the Bears are gonna have a top 10 NFL draft pick. I don't think they're the worst team in the league, though. I think, yes, Justin Fields doesn't have a lot of big name weapons. This will be the first year with Darnell Mooney being definitively wide receiver 1, despite Fields connecting with him more than Allen Robinson. Now he's getting the attention, but he had Jalen Ramsey on him last year in the first game and he did great and he was running all over him. I think there's a lot there. I think David Montgomery is going to have a good year. I don't think the O-line is nearly as bad as people think it is. New coach, new regime. Justin Fields is being rolled out of the pocket, which is fantastic. I didn't know that was legal with Matt Nagy, but it is. I think they shake out 5 or 6 wins. I really do. I don't think they're great, but I think they're respectable.
All right. In week 10, when they're 3-6, we're going to make sure we remember this moment when you predicted 5 or 6 wins. Okay.
You're going to edit this together as this, and then it's going to be me shouting in Bears corner, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Oh yes. All right.
Season prediction. I'm just gonna go straight to the Super Bowl because we won't go over playoffs and all that. Oh man, this is tough. this is a tough year. I think the Bills finally get there. You know what? I'm going to say, I think Thursday's a Super Bowl preview. I think we get Bills Rams. And I think the Bills get over the hump. And I think they do it.
So you're saying the first game of the year will also be the final game of the year?
Correct.
I do think Josh Allen gets to a Super Bowl this year. For my season predictions, I think Allen gets there. I don't really want to see the Bills win it all after the crap that's going on with Matt Araiza.
Oh yeah,
I don't.
That was utter BS.
It was complete and utter BS. I cannot believe he even got to the point where he was able to get drafted. I do not believe a word of the Bills saying they didn't know.
Well, then they cut their other punter after it was like definitive that they knew. Like we all knew that they knew, and they still cut their other punter. Like,
yeah. So I think, yeah, probably talent-wise, the Bills will get there, but I don't really want to pick them to win it all because I'm just PO'd at how that organization handled that entire situation.
Fair.
They're not the first, and unfortunately, they won't be the last. But part of me thinks, even after he's been an absolute head case, that Aaron Rodgers is going to go far this year.
Yeah, I was trying not to pick them, but
I'm trying not to. I don't like Aaron Rodgers. I'm not a fan of his shenanigans. I don't like him, but part of me thinks he's going to stick his finger up at everyone and just get to the Super Bowl.
Man, I just hope it ends like last year where it's like they lose to like a hilariously team that should not have been in the playoffs like the Niners kind of were last year. Mm-hmm. I pray on his downfall.
I do too. Him and Brian Kelly both. I pray on both.
Oh yes, we'll get to that. To that.
All right. Anything else for NFL before we wrap it up? We'll get more into it as the season kind of rolls along as well.
Go Bears, bear down.
Bears Corner, ladies and gentlemen, it's back for yet another season. All right. Wrapping up with college football. Nicole, oh my Lord, it was a great weekend in college football. Onward to victory, the House of Heat. We are repping home field. I think we were both repping home field on Saturday or on Thursday when it was game day. Shout out to the brand. Nicole, your thoughts on first ASU, then Michigan, and now the season as a whole. Your thoughts on everything.
First game went, I think, about as well as it could have. I actually like what Herm said in the post-game presser, or well, in Monday's post-game press conference, which is rare. Saying just getting guys playing time, getting them experience, keeping it vanilla, simple. Emory Jones looked like the best quarterback we've had since Jaden Daniels' freshman year. And that's really promising. 13 of 18, 152 yards. Nothing super flashy, but you know who was flashy? X Valladay. X gonna give it to you. He is gonna be a stud. He's fast. He's electric. Johnson and Badger wideouts. I think they're gonna be a great 1-2 punch. Swinson, although is a name I wasn't super familiar with, and I think he's gonna come out pretty darn good. The defense picked up pretty much right where it left off, which is like the best scenario. The D-line looks great. I could see some future issues with the secondary, but Merlin Robinson, Kyle Soley, this is for all the naysayers saying how bad ASU might be this year. And they might. It still could be. Granted, this was NAU. I get it. But we beat NAU and a certain school down south didn't. So, like, we'll take that. It wasn't that hard, guys. But there was a lot of promising things from the Sun Devils on Thursday. And again, for all the naysayers saying like this is going to be like one of the worst teams in the Pac-12, I'm not saying we're going to be the best. I think we'll be middle of the pack though, and I think Emory Jones and X Valladay and Merlin Robinson are going to lead this team to surprise a couple people.
Yeah, I was impressed with Emory Jones. I had gotten so used to the far smaller, more run-centric QB Jaden Daniels. The younger Jaden Daniels, Emory Jones is a fifth year. guy coming from the SEC. I love it that we just flip-flopped SEC quarterbacks. But I was impressed by how poised he was. He looked so comfortable in the pocket, which I was pretty shocked about. I know it's everything grain of salt, NAU first game of the year, Thursday night game, but yeah, I'm hopeful for just a little bit more consistency at the position. And I've been waiting for Chad Johnson Jr. to pop. I feel like he finally popped. I feel like he's finally here. Like it's finally his time to go be a decent, wideout to contribute in the ways that I kind of always predicted or thought that he would. I think getting Merlin Robertson back was huge. I remember hearing that he was possibly going to go to the NFL from just classmates of ours last year at Cronkite. But I think getting him back for a 5th year has been huge as well. Veteran leadership, providing stability in rather an unstable program right now. So maybe I'm hoping for 8 wins. That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, I like what I saw from ASU football the other night. They looked comfortable. They looked way more comfortable than I thought they would be.
Which is, yeah, for game 1 with how many new guys on the roster? 40, 50 something. Yeah, looking comfortable is huge. Is a great look for a big test in Oklahoma State. But you know what? We're gonna enjoy this win while we have it.
Oh my gosh! Shout out to my friend Emma. Her name's Emma Trainer. She goes to Oklahoma State. She was an awesome scholarship winner this year, and I've never met her before, but I just connected with her on social media. She's going to be working the Oklahoma State game this weekend, and our friend from Blaze, Mallory, is going to be at that game. So shout out to 2 awesome ladies. I hope you guys do well. I hope you guys can still get along after that game, because
support women in sports.
Yeah, support women in sports. That's all we can do. Nicole, the big house, Michigan. Another year. What are we thinking?
Reigning Big Ten champs. That was, oh my God, I've been waiting my whole life to say that. It was, they had to shake some rust off. ASU did too, although against a lesser opponent, all due respect to NAU, but whatever, I'll just start right off the top. What everybody's been hearing about, the QB battle. If it's not obvious after last week, I think he's going to make it a lot more obvious against Hawaii. It's JJ McCarthy time. Cade he's not him. I'm sorry. I don't know how else to say it. He's just not him. He was great last year. I thank him for everything. He's a great backup, a good game manager. Not much more, unfortunately. JJ, although we didn't see too much out of the passing game, is just making better decisions in the pocket, hitting guys, reading the open man, going through his progressions. Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards started, right where they left off. It was great. So great to see Ronnie Bell back out there. And it's the big house. There's nothing like it. It's the best stadium ever. I love it. I loved being home. I love Ann Arbor. It'll always be home to me. Keeping it short, I don't know what else to say, but go blue.
I was having a rough day on Saturday, and one of the highlights was just turning on the Michigan game and then seeing Robert Griffin III. He was talking about the legacy of the big house and what it means to Michigan fans and alumni, and that was just so cool to see. I can understand the appeal to it. Go blue. Go blue. My UCLA Bruins, in front of not as big of a crowd at the Rose Bowl, we defeated Bowling Green. Took care of business after the first quarter. The first quarter, we were absolute trash, down 17-7. But after that, got the wheels back on the truck. I think a lot of first game jitters. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is in his 5th year now. we looked way better in the second half. DTR's got a lot to prove this year if he wants to make it to the next level. There's a reason why he decided to come back. So yeah, go Bruins. Hopefully there's a better turnout at the Rose Bowl as this season rolls along, because that's such a cool stadium. People are kind of missing out on the opportunity to go, if you ask me. To wrap things up, Nicole, LSU versus Notre Dame.
Florida State.
LSU versus Florida State. Sorry. Notre Dame versus Ohio State was the night before. That was also a really good game. Okay, both games. Ohio State, Notre Dame, and LSU with former ASU QB versus Florida State. Nicole, your reaction?
Ohio State, Notre Dame was... Honestly, Notre Dame was a team that was like, okay, Marcus Freeman, like... It was two rivals, and Notre Dame having a likable head coach is kind of rough. Not gonna lie, because it's like, I can't just, it's not that easy to hate him anymore. Dang it. I like Marcus Freeman, but defense looked great. QB play wasn't incredible, but like they were in it until the end, and then Ohio State kind of woke up. But it was well played by Notre Dame, and that defense is, Marcus Freeman is damn good at what he does. And he knows the mistakes he made game management wise, which is, taking accountability. That's more than another coaches that can say. As we head over to LSU, Florida State, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. A lot of former Sun Devils in this one, which was funny. Excuse me. Obviously the biggest name was Jaden Daniels. Boy, oh boy. First of all, this game was nuts. This game was wild. Florida State should have won this game by like 10 or 15 points. And the last minute and a half was the wildest game I've ever seen. I was getting tense, and I didn't care who won. I mean, like, I would prefer Florida State because I don't like Brian Kelly at all in the slightest, but it was like, I have no rooting interest. And I'm like, oh my God, like edge of my seat. That's how crazy that game was. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Jaden Daniels looked exactly the same. It's unfortunate, like no Sun Devil fan had been rooting for his regression since freshman year. Like we wanted him to be our guy. Like we wanted him to be good. And he just, I don't know if it was coaching. I don't know if it was him. I think it was a little bit of both. And I think last night kind of proved it. I know there's a long season ahead. But it looked like the same old Jaden Daniels. First read, didn't see what he liked, he would get out of the pocket and run. And yeah, his O-line wasn't great, but he wasn't helping his receivers out either. Keyshawn Butte, the best receiver, dropped passes, yes, but Jaden just flat out like didn't give him the ball sometimes either. Like saw him open and like just decided to keep running around a little bit more before throwing to him. Like this is the Jaden Daniels, maroon and gold, purple and gold. It's all the same. I'm sorry, LSU fans. I don't root for his, demise or, for him to be bad, but like, this is just who he is. Sorry.
Yeah. He's undersized. He's pretty fast. He honestly kind of reminds me of Johnny Manziel a little bit on the field. Not off the field. I think he's way more stable off the field than Manziel, but kind of reminds me of that a little bit. He's definitely not the second coming of Joe Burrow. He's probably not going to, lead y'all to a national title or anything. But yeah, I will say the Ohio State game, if Bronny James commits and goes to Ohio State, Nicole is just going to have a field day with me.
No.
That I just know is coming. That was the biggest storyline of the game, which was really funny to me. That two guys were on a recruiting trip, a father and son were on a recruiting trip, and they were standing on the sidelines. They more than likely didn't even stay the whole game because they had to get out before the crowds and stuff. I'm pretty sure one of the storylines was the fact that Bronny James Jr. was like wearing Travis Scott Nikes or something. I saw that as a headline on my Twitter page. But yeah, Nicole is about to have a field day with me with that, y'all. And more than likely, I think Bronny will go to Ohio State if he goes down the college path, because I think that's where his dad would have gone. So yeah, can't wait for that. Stay tuned for all of those roasting sessions to come. Yeah, LSU, Florida State. Wow, what an ending. I would look down at my phone, whatever, send a text, do whatever. And then I'd look up and I'd be like, there's 2 seconds left. Rewind. What? And then I'd throw my phone on. I'm like, all right, let's watch. And then they get the touchdown. You're like, oh my God, overtime. And then it's like the kick gets blocked. And you're like, what? Like, I don't know the last time I saw an extra point get blocked, let alone at the very end of a game. Like, it's just guaranteed that it's another 7 points. And so that's one of the most insane endings I've seen to a football game in a very long time. And yeah, shout out Jaden Daniels. I don't want him to fail, but at the same time, the way he left ASU just kind of up and took off after they had done all this promotion that he was coming back. It's just really, it's weird. It's weird to see him in purple and gold. I think, unfortunately, he's going to be in for a rude awakening when he gets to SEC play and he's playing against Nick Saban in the biggest rivalry game in college football. So yeah, wasn't too taken aback by what I saw from him. I think it was decent. It was the Jaden that I saw for the last 4 years, basically. Nicole, I do have a quick question for you. I looked on your Twitter page. How much did you spend at the Michigan student store?
I mean, the final price was over 500. That wasn't me alone.
That's amazing.
I mean, the jersey was over 100. The tank top, I don't remember the price of the tank top, but it's a Lulu, so it was at least $40. And then the stickers were 5 and 10 respectively or something.
Yeah.
Or the hat. I might have been half of that. I might have been half of our final count, but it's my splurge of the year. It's my splurge of the year. It's going in there and because I love it. I only had 2 requirements when we went to Michigan. I was Tim Hortons, Emden, and then the game, of course. But it's that's all I need.
For the uninitiated, what is the Emden?
Emden is just the Michigan student store.
Okay. All right. The
uninitiated.
I don't know. The love for well, I was uninitiated. I didn't know what the Emden was.
No, it was just a funny word to use, initiated.
So to wrap things up, obviously college football, we've got a lot more we're going to rip into there. NFL, we're just starting the season. WNBA, we're going into the heat of the finals. People, we got a lot to talk about. Stay tuned to the show, the podcast, the whole nine. Nicole, what is your future fantasy and what was your reaction to Serena Williams?
Well, it kind of goes hand in hand. Respect Serena Williams, which it was awesome to see the respect, the honor, the praise she got. It was all earned at the US Open. I don't cry super easily. My eyes were a little watery when, that match ended, but she just never goes out easy. She never, and it was 6-1 in the final set that she lost, and it took an hour. That is unheard of. 6-1, that you think that's 40 minutes at the most. But she's never an easy out. She never goes down. She's the GOAT for a reason. And her saying, I'm not Serena without Venus. It was the tennis world on the court is going to miss her. I only hope that she makes it up her way up to the booth. I think the booth could really use her. Caroline Wozniak has started this. They're really good friends. And if she can get Serena up there, I think we're in for a treat as far as watching tennis goes, along with Fowler already. But what else is there to say that hasn't been said? She's the GOAT. The tennis world's going to miss her. Just wish her nothing but the best.
I think the entire sports world will miss her. And I think that's kind of the perfect note to end on. Nicole, great show this week. Thank you all for tuning in. Of course, for Nicole Pinter, I'm Gabby Ducharme. We will see you all next time on The Future is Female.